Hey guys, so for my series for AP World, you guys are joining me in my room today, and I guess the first episode is going to be about the prologue portion. Yes, I even took note on the prologue portion. It is basically what the title is, From Cosmic History to Human History. And like I said, I'm going to read off on what I wrote, and excuse me, I'm sorry, this is new to me, so let me load up, well, not load up, let me turn to the page of the guided reading questions. Okay, so the first guided reading question, which is the page, I would always say the page number, it just says page number, prologue, page 1, and the guided reading question is, the context is change here, the focus is change here, I'd say. What have been the main turning points in pre-human phases of big history? So, what I got for the reading is I got the Big Bang, the evolution of humans, okay, and just the evolution in general for a species around the world, and just the introduction of Homo sapiens. Okay. So that's what I answered for that. And the history of what is the general history of the universe? So the Big Bang started to happen, okay, and then stars and galaxies formed, and then on Earth the oxygen gas, which is O2, comes in, and the first life comes along, and this was tracked on the cosmic calendar. Okay, so if you guys don't know, okay, here's the cosmic calendar. Okay, you know how we have a calendar, August 29, 2020 years after death, right? We have something like that, and this is the cosmic calendar. Okay, as you can see right here. Okay, and basically the cosmic calendar has started the moment the Big Bang started, right? Which the theory of the Big Bang is very debatable to this day. It's, creationists, right? Or do you believe in creationism or evolution, right? So this is, the start of the universe and the planet is very controversial and debatable, right? But from what it says in the book, okay, the moment the Big Bang happened, that was 13.7 billion years ago. And if you want to count that as part of human history, which it is, okay, then whatchamacallit, then you could say, the history that we learn about, in the books, like the Industrial Revolution, the medieval times, the Renaissance, that's just the smallest portion of history. Okay, right. So, and just to really think about it, like the stars and galaxies begin to form 12 billion years ago. Milky Way, our galaxy starts to form the Milky Way, 10 billion. Origin of the solar system, 4.7 billion years ago, right? The first worm, 658 million years ago, right? Age of dinosaurs, 329 to 164 million years ago. That's how long things took. And I'm also in AP Environmental Science, so I'm still trying. The reason why I wanted to take AP Environmental Science is because science and history go together, especially biology, and just in environmental science as a whole, right? So when I read this, I was really interested in environmental science, so I might put some environmental science topics into my videos, because one, it's just the environment has so much to determine, our lifestyles and all that jazz. Again, I'm trying to do my best to explain things, right? But most importantly, okay, the cosmic calendar is kind of complicated to explain, but you know how we have, January 1st to December 31st. Basically, they put all of human history in one calendar year, right? Like I said, the Big Bang started in January 1st, right? The first worms were December 16th. The origin of the solar system was September 9th, okay? Right? And the birth of Jesus was December 31st, 1159 p.m. 56 seconds. And the Aztec and Inca Empire is the December 31st, 1159, okay, at 11:59 seconds, right? So if you really think about it like that, we're such... The history we are living in right now, it's by the millisecond. I don't know what's smaller than a millisecond, but you get the point. Our existence is so minute in the broader, time of history in general, right? And they put the Aztec and Inca empires, which was 500 years ago, right, at December 31st, 11:59 seconds. Imagine what we are living right now during this coronavirus. Well, at the time of making this video, the coronavirus pandemic. Which as of right now, I'm making this video on 8/29/2020. Right, we're actual human history, such as like I said, the Industrial Revolution is such a tiny speck in our broader history of the entire universe, right? So that's the cosmic calendar. Okay, so what's the history of the planet? To simply say, we went from a single celled organism to a complex animal, of which we survived many mass extinctions that wiped out 96% of living species. Species. Okay. So the species that we have, I'm being general here, but the species we have now are just 4% of the living species that survived mass extinctions. Okay, there's not just one, there are multiple mass extinction of species, right? So if you really think about it, the species that are living right now, including us humans, we have went through a lot of changes in terms of evolution, if you believe in that, of course. I'm just saying from what the book says, but we have went through a lot as a species. Okay. So what is world history? Well, in the mid-12th century, many universities focused on a specific history, but in the 20th century, which is like 1900s to 1999, unchecked nationalism called for a need of world history. So you heard the saying that, world history or history in general is only written by the winners, and to a certain extent that is true. That is generally true, but you've seen it in all time periods, but generally before the 20th century, right? Before the 20th century, history was solely specific on Europe, even in Asia. It was solely specific, and it's totally biased. Okay. In the 20th century, that's when you started to see the open up of actual non-biased, world history, right? Because if we only had European history, Asian history, African history, right, written by Europeans, Africans, etc., it's not biased. History comes from, from all kinds of peoples, from all kinds of the world, right? Then that's why we need world history, so we get a more non-biased explanation of the world. Okay. All right. So what is the GRQ? The guided reading. I'm gonna say GRQ is the guided reading question. Okay. On Prologue 5. But my sheet went down. Okay, so the question was, the focus has changed here. Why has world history achieved an increasingly prominent place in American education in recent decades? Okay, so I guess I should say kind of like my resume. So I'm taking AP language, AP Lang, and AP World right now, and also AP Environmental Science, like I said earlier. My first AP class was actually AP United States History. Okay, so I kind of use my knowledge from U.S. history on here. Okay, so my response was in the U.S. progressive movements in U.S. history in a push. Okay, the time period is 6 and 7. Okay, of which 6 and 7 is like, I'm not gonna be specific, but it's basically like 1800s to 1945. Okay, so from that time period called for a rise in education as slavery divided the states. Okay, with the Civil War and the call for rise to learn about the world. I would even add that, I remember this. My favorite period in U.S. history to learn about is 1900s to 1928. I think the reason why I say 1928 is because the reason why I end at 1928 is because that's when the election of 1928 happens. Okay. So I just think that period is very, very interesting. Actually, I lied. It's 1932, because that's when FDR gets elected. Okay, I really think FDR is really looked at too much in history, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Okay, but I love World War. I like reading about World War I over World War II. My president I really like to read about is Woodrow Wilson, actually. But anyways, the what something called the monkey trials has happened, and basically in Tennessee, this teacher, right? Again, it's been a while, but I believe it was in the 1920s, okay, which was also called the Roaring '20s, and the monkey trials has happened. So what is the monkey trials? Basically, it was a case between a teacher that wanted to teach biology in a Tennessee school, right? And Tennessee people were not very happy because they were very traditional and creationist, right? As you know, evolution is a very controversial topic, especially with people of religious background. Okay, personally, I believe in evolution. I believe in evolution. Okay, right. So the monkey trials happened, right? And it was this huge case, right? Whether biology, and he wanted the teacher wanted to teach biology, okay, in the Tennessee classroom. Now it was this huge state case, and it even made it to national headline, right? In the end, okay, despite with all this, adversity and all that jazz, he managed to win the case, right, which opened up the teaching of evolution and biology and scientific topics to schools across America, right? The United States, you look at this today, right, and this is why you should really study U.S. history, okay? The U.S. was very progressive was very progressive in its education. And the reason why is that we have adopted, because we had so many, first of all, we have adopted German education, German style education, okay? And in early U.S. history, it was part of the old immigrants, the old immigration group, and that's when you had the introduction of many Germans, many ethnic Germans, right? And Germany, you know, and you could even make the argument that in all of history, we're very, you know, they focus on education, immensely, right? And we adopted German education, and Germany. Now, the country Germany wasn't formed, but the German region was very known for its technological and progressive innovations and schools of thought, right? And the U.S. adopted German style education. And you look at it today, Germany is one of the leading people in manufacturing, educating its youth and citizens, right? In the U.S., that's not the case, but it's because our education has been politicized, right? And our funding has been politicized, right? So that's I know I'm being a Wilson here and explaining in great detail, but you have to get background information and connecting. History is all about making connections, using background information, using what you think could happen in the future, what happened what happened recently, or what's happening in your lifetime. Making those connections is history, right? That is history. It's making connections from what can happen in the future, the past, and you. Okay, and that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. All right. So, what's the history of the human species, or Homo sapiens? The Homo sapiens lived as long as 250,000 years, and their history can be divided into three categories: the Paleolithic, okay, first agricultural revolution, and the Neolithic revolution, okay. And there's so much different revolution. The Industrial Revolution and the Second Agricultural Revolution. Okay, the Paleolithic age, okay, occurred. It says, see, sometimes I can't read my handwriting. Occupied a substantial amount. A substantial amount. One thing I need to work on is my handwriting. A substantial amount of human history, with hunting and gathering as the ways of life. The Neolithic era saw a domestication of plants and animals, okay, leading to the rise of chiefdom and communities. The Industrial Revolution saw the vast increase of wealth and the human domestication of nature, right? So, speaking from an environmental science and partly history standpoint, right? When we're hunter and gatherers, the nature of the world controlled us. Okay, then the agricultural revolution happened. Okay. Then the Paleolithic, then the Neolithic, age started to happen, and then you started to see a pickup of pace that we're starting to, control our environment instead of our environment controlling us. And then the Industrial Revolution, right? And on to where we are today, you're seeing a quicker, control of the environment, and honestly, you can even make the debate that we have complete control over the environment. The environment does not have control over us anymore. And what I mean by control, I mean if we eat or live the next day, do we get eaten by a bear? When we're trying to sleep at night. No, I'm living in a house. Okay, I know Hawaii doesn't have bears, but look, I built a house, and the bears and all these other species have to move other places, right? Because we we are using the land's resources to benefit us, so we can build, houses to sleep in, right? And that in that sense, it moved people. It moves species away from their original habitat. All right, so change, comparison, and connection, the three C's in world history. So basically, change is what event changed or not in the context of the big picture. So in the big picture, what has changed? Okay. What hasn't changed as much? Okay. I'm talking about, these are the three C's we talk about in history. Comparison. What were similar or different between two things? Whether that be, trade, big picture ideas, time period, religious ideas, right? Just comparison in general. Excuse me. Had a Twix this morning. Connection, like what I said earlier. How did political, social, and technological connection and economic, I forgot to add that, and economic connections between people share in history? How do humans interact? Us humans are, naturally are supposed to be social creatures. We are supposed to interact with each other and with the environment. So, this is kind of like my snippet. When people say you're, asocial, right? I think that's the word, or antisocial. You're like, oh, I don't like to talk to people. That's simply wrong. You're not born. Again, this is my personal opinion. So okay. You're not born to be. Yeah, I don't like to talk to people. People scare me. No. Humans are supposed to interact with each other. Okay. Whether that's be. See, I don't know if I can say this word. Okay. But if I can't say this word, I won't say it the next time. Whether that's be, personal interaction, sexual, personal and sexual interactions, right? We're all adults here. We're here to learn about the facts, right? And the facts don't care about your feelings, right? And the fact is that we are meant to interact with people. We are meant to reproduce as a species, right? We're supposed to meet new people. We're supposed to talk about our problem and our issues as that we have as a person and as a whole species, such as climate change, right? That is, if we don't talk about stuff, if we don't interact with others, okay, even interact with other species such as monkeys, etc. If we don't have interactions, we do not advance as a species, right? And the sole purpose of humans, okay, is to one, interact with people, right? Interact with people, reproduce, okay, and colonize. That's history for you. That is if I have to give you, what is what is the purpose of humans and human history, right? Is we're supposed to interact with people, species in the environment, okay? We're supposed to reproduce as a species, okay? And we're supposed to colonize, right? What I mean by, colonize, we're supposed to colonize the earth, right? And soon, we will go from a planetary, okay, we're not gonna go from, what's the word? As just human civilization, different human civilizations like Japan, China, right? These divided, human civilizations, right? Okay, so we colonized the world. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna live to see it, but then you're gonna see the transition from, industrial civilization, right, such as the ones we're living in right now, to planetary civilization, Humans are going to go colonize different planets. You know, right? Like I said, you want to get a rundown on human history, interaction with its environment, its own species and other species. Okay, its reproduction of its species. Okay, right, and colonize the universe. I would even say colonize other planets, the galaxy, and even the universe. Right? That is our sole goal as a human, as a human species, whether we think about it or not. We are supposed. It is natural for us to colonize, right? Things, you know, planet and land, right? That is just how we are as a person. Okay, and if you don't believe in that, okay, and the beauty of history, guys, you don't even have to believe me. You can have your own ideas, right? But if you don't believe that every culture, this is because the revisionists are trying to rewrite history and say, well, only the Europeans colonized, the Native Americans, right? Or, Africa. Well, yeah, that's kind of true, but guess what? Native Hawaiians, okay, colonized Hawaii. They weren't born on Hawaii. Okay? The Hawaiians were not born on Hawaii. Okay? The Hawaiians, okay, were actually part of a larger group called Austronesians, right? I'll make sure I want to say it correctly. Austronesians. Yeah. Austronesians, okay? And the Austronesians, okay, to be general, were from the island of Taiwan. The Austronesian people came from the island of Taiwan. If we think about Taiwan today, okay, we think of Taiwanese people, okay, Chinese people. We think of, I'm gonna be very basic here, Oriental Asians. You know what I'm saying? But the Hawaiians, okay, and the Polynesians came from the island of Taiwan, and with their idea of wayfinding, spread across, Indonesia, the Philippines, okay, and to Hawaii. Hawaii, okay, was, I believe, the second or the third to last, okay, migration or colonization of these Austronesian people. The last one was Easter Island, right? Of which you see those statues, right? To say that only Europeans, right, colonized is simply not true. It's simply not true. Okay, you have Native Americans did it. Okay, all culture groups. Okay, all peoples group has colonized the earth. All of us have. Not just the Portuguese. In Brazil, Spain, and Mexico, right? England, England and France and North America. It's simply not true. Okay? Again, it's your opinion on it because history is it's very debatable. Okay? So, we're going on to, if you don't know, okay, the book has the, review, right? And I'll also go over the review. Okay. So, the review has what is the significance and what is the big picture question. Okay, I put an acronym for what's the significance with the WTS. Okay, and big picture question with BBQ. Okay, so the WTS is the first one is big history, which is on prologue 1. Okay. The significance of big history is putting history in the largest concept, and can be a great way to start the understanding of human history or even the history of the universe. Cosmic calendar. The significance of that, it gives us a visual and a mental realization that history, right in this moment right now, when I'm talking to you, is only just a millisecond of the history of the universe. The 3 C's, okay, which is change, compare, and connection, or change, comparison, and connection. Okay, the three C's help us break the centric histories and help us truly understand our history. And it's just, those three C's are very essential history thinking skills. And honestly, the three C's, you don't even have to use it in history. You can use it in math, or just life in general. Okay, comparative world history. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Cosmic calendar was on prologue 1. The three C's was on prologue page 6. Comparative world history is on prologue 7. Okay. I'm making a video. Yes, I did. No. Anyways, see, we're still getting used to this. Okay. Making world history comparative allows us to try to understand people's notions, right? Right. What do people do? All right. BBQ. The question is, how do modern notions of immense size and age of the universe affect your understanding of human history? So what I put is the immense size of my species' history, us, okay, helps recognize the importance, of time and the people that were in that time, and to make use of my own, right? Are you gonna be a small speck, a small positive speck, or are you gonna be, are you gonna be a negative small speck, or are you gonna be a positive speck in the larger broad of things? Right? What do you want to do? That's history. What do you want to do with your life? Number 2 is, what examples of comparison, connection, and change in world history would like to explore further as course unfolds? So this is kind of like my personal opinion. I would like to see religious, cultural, and economical C's in history. Use of the C's in history. Number 3 is, in larger context, might you place your own life in history? So I would place myself in a larger context of the technocrat. So this is what I think, what my life is going to be part of, a specific part of human history. Okay? And what I believe that the history I will be going through, again, just your opinion, and what I think I'm going to be placed in the larger historical context of the human history is the technocratization of the human mind. I believe that we're starting to see, technology, such as the internet, really, robots really affecting how our minds think, right? And just a little small example, right, is learning. All of our learning is online, during this pandemic, right? So it's very interesting to see how technology will like how the environment controlled us, and then we control the environment. Will we see technology control us? Right? So that's just what I think. If you have a different idea, let me know in the comments below. Right? But that's pretty much it. I know this was a long video, but I hope it helps, AP World kids. If the, AP World kids is my AP Environmental Science project. I hope it is able to help you guys out understand history. Again, I'm learning, just as much as you are. I don't know if I will have the most accurate information. It's just, what I learned, right? And maybe it might help you, maybe it might not, right? But that's just up for you to decide, and that's the beauty of it. Okay? So if I say anything wrong, please correct me. I want to make sure, I want to, be as accurate with my answers and reporting, or if I'm missing anything that I should have been talking about, right? But thank you guys for listening. Sorry about the interruption for my mom. I told her don't bother me when I'm making, I love my family, but I say don't bother me when I'm in a meeting or when I'm making a video, but they still come in and bother me anyways. But yeah, I'll probably have to tell them again. But thank you guys so much for listening, watching. Right, I hope this was useful information, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.